Today, I want to talk about Erica Kirk and Candace Owens. Hi. So I haven't done a video in a long time. I'm in the middle of creating some other work. In fact, I've started a new channel because I want to separate social topics from anything that's related to personal development, coaching, personal growth, all that jazz. And I just had to chime in on this. As much as I'm so busy creating other things, this is something that I know I have something to say. One, because I know the evangelical Christian world. I also understand the mindset of conservative Christians, as Erica Kirk and Charlie Kirk purported to live that life. I also get the dynamics of married women and men who have best friends who are women. I get it. And I'm someone who has deconstructed religion, deconstructed patriarchy, the whole dynamics. So I get it. And as somebody who's been married, who has a lot of married friends, I know the dynamics and I know what's playing between the two of them. I know what's going on. And this is why you should watch this video, because I'm going to open your eyes. I am going to make you aware of some things that you may not have thought of. But as soon as I saw the videos and I connected the dots, I could see what is happening, and both of them are justified. So let's get into it. So first of all, I want us to watch the clip of Erica Kirk being interviewed in a video of Charlie Kirk, and then I'm going to tell you what is happening.
The podcaster Candace Owens, okay? At one time, a friend of Charlie's, at one time, an employee of Turning Point. She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies, and she is making a huge amount of money on it. She is building her business off of these lies. What do you want to say to her and the other people that are putting these lies out into the world right now?
Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
Okay, so as we've just seen, it was on CBS. Erica Kirk is being interviewed and she's asked about Candace Owens and she tells her to stop. If you remember, Candace Owens said, "I'll only stop if Erica Kirk tells me to stop." And we're going to see if she's keeping her promise, if she's keeping her word. But before we go there, I want us to go to the video where Charlie Kirk was talking and he's asked a question about Candace Owens and then he gives a response.
How is your relationship with Candace Owens nowadays?
She's a great friend. You know, look, I don't agree with everything Candace says, but you know what I don't do? I don't stop being friends with people just because people morally blackmail me. I don't do that, and you shouldn't either. Look, I have different views on things as Candace. I have different views on Israel than Candace. I have different views on a lot of geopolitics. But honestly, I traveled the country with Candace. I went to her wedding. I saw her meet her husband. I went to Israel with Candace, which is a fun story I'll tell you at some point. But what I don't like is when people demand, you must stop being friends with somebody. Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's a left-wing tactic. Don't do that. I'm not saying you do that, but other people do that. We should never resort to that. In fact, if you believe what I believe, shouldn't you want me to be friends with people that don't agree with us? Shouldn't you want me to also be a tool of influence? And so I think the world of Candace. She's a great mother. She certainly has very, very fun opinions at times. And she's a great talent. She says a lot of stuff that sometimes I don't agree with, but that's what makes our relationship and our friendship interesting. My advice to all of you, you might not like somebody, but never tell somebody like me to stop being friends with somebody on an interpersonal level just because of disagreement. It's bad. It's what the left does, and we should rise above it as conservatives. Thank you so much.
Okay, first off, I'm going to say, I understand why Erica Kirk seems unhappy about Candace Owens. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is the whole conservative Christian ideology, doctrine about submission to your husband. And Charlie Kirk kept talking about that a lot. If you think about it, we didn't really know about Erica Kirk until he died, because he took the spotlight in conservative Christian marriages. The wife submits so that the husband becomes the head and he's the one who leads. So her voice would become something that she will not express. His opinions will be the ones that should be heard, should be at the top. If you think about it, right now, the Christian nationalist movement in America are saying that if a woman's married, she shouldn't vote. Her husband will vote for her, which means she won't have her opinions come to the forefront, because her husband's opinion would be the overall opinion for the household. There's a problem right there. Charlie Kirk defended Candace Owens in public, said, "Oh, she's my friend. We have different opinions." In other words, he respects her. He understands why Candace Owens has a right to her own opinions different from his, and she's allowed to have different opinions from him. He traveled the country with her, despite the fact that they don't necessarily share the same opinions. Now, there's a problem right there. Can you imagine being a wife to a conservative Christian man who you're submitted to? You cannot voice your opinions freely. He won't listen to your opinions, but yet he listens to another woman who's not his wife. So he listens to Candace Owens, who he's not married to. And if you think about it, I don't care what people say, but these conservative Christians, as far as I see, and as far as whatever they say, Candace Owens is still a black woman, and Charlie Kirk is listening to that woman over and above listening to his own wife, Erica. So there is no way Erica Kirk, in my opinion, liked Candace. I'm sure she tolerated her because she was in submission to her husband. But now her husband is not there. She doesn't have to pretend to like Candace. And I say this because this is something that I experienced. I'm somebody who can freely share her opinions. When I was in a church which was run by a pastor and his wife, the whole evangelical charismatic Christian movements, you always have the pastor running the church and then his wife who's in submission to him, sort of like co-pastoring with him or supporting him. But because I could share my opinions, I could sway male pastors to consider a situation, to think about something, to maybe introduce something into the church. Because I would go to them with confidence and say, have you thought about this? Have you seen this? And if they said, oh, I'm going to implement this in the church, I was the one person who would go to them and hold them accountable and say, did you implement that thing that you said you were going to do 3 months ago? We're 3 months later, but I haven't seen any traction. And rightfully so. Men want to be seen as people who, especially if in a position of esteem like a pastor, one of the things they want is to be seen as somebody who honors their word, to be respected. I know that there are pastors who don't do that, but the pastors that I was under, if they said, oh, I'm going to implement this in the church, they actually wanted to be seen as people of their word. And I would go to them and say, Pastor, it's 3 months later, it's 6 months later, have you implemented that thing? And they'll be like, oh my goodness, I didn't implement it, but you're right, let's do something about it. And do you know what I found? The pastor's wife not really liking me, pretending to like me, or just taking a distaste towards me. And I could sense it. And I was thinking, what is the issue with the pastor's wife just having an attitude towards me? I haven't done anything, but yet pastor really likes me. This happened to me on, I'd say, 2 occasions. And do you know what I noticed? It's only when I was having a conversation with one of my friends, and she highlighted that, how do you think the pastor's wife feels that you can sway her husband? He will respect your opinion. He will respect you holding him accountable to his words. You hold him responsible. And you can go and question him without him getting offended. He will listen to you. You will hold him accountable and he will give you feedback and respect what you say. And yet his wife, who submitted to him, cannot question him, cannot hold him accountable because he could say, you're not respecting me. You need to submit. I'm the head of the home. I'm the head of the church. But yet you seem to have that power. She's like, of course, she's going to not like you because she's going to think, what is it about my husband that he respects another woman and not me? Why can't I have an opinion, but yet she can? Why is it she can have her own opinions and it's okay, but I can't freely, vulnerably share my opinion with my own pastor husband? I have to keep quiet in submission to him, in honor of him, so that I don't usurp his authority. And that is conservative Christian mindset. And when my friend highlighted that to me, my eyes opened like, oh my goodness, you are so right. I see it. What? These are married friends. And then the friend was like, if you think about it, if you were friends with the pastor's wife before, then everything will be okay because you could freely speak to 2 of them and it wouldn't look like you are swaying the pastor on his own. But because you're not, you are a strange woman, an outsider. She would want that intimacy with her own husband where she could freely share her opinions and she could freely suggest things to him. Yeah, that's another thing. I would suggest things and they would take up my suggestions. And she's like, she would freely want to suggest things to him and he would do it. But whatever she suggests, he doesn't do. But when you suggest, he does it. because he sees you as, oh, one of these valuable church members. That would annoy any woman. So from that video, to me, I could tell that's my opinion. But Erica Kirk resents Candace Owens. And it's got nothing to do with what Candace Owens is doing now. I think she literally resents her from before, because she didn't really have an expression on her face. She was just like, stop. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that is a face of someone who's like, I cannot stand that woman. And this is another thing that I see with the whole conservative Christian movement of wives submit to your husbands. A lot of these women are married to men and they resent them. They go every Sunday and pray to God, change my husband or speak to my husband, may the Holy Spirit speak to him. While deep down, they're just upset and angry and resentful towards their husband. And then they take out their frustration on women who have got nothing to do with it. You need to question that doctrine of your husband is the head, because surely God gave you a brain and a mind and a mouth to speak, right? And if you are your husband's helpmeet, he shouldn't just be the one who has the last say. He shouldn't be the one to only vote. Those are my thoughts and those are my opinions. And yeah, and another thing as well that was highlighted to me by another friend was, this is something that I had to ask myself. If my husband has a female friend that I get to meet that I don't know, that's not my friend, and when I start dating him, as a woman, I want to come first. I want to come first before her. I want him to prioritize me, to prioritize my opinions. But then we're talking about a best friend here. A best friend is someone that there is some kind of intimacy, not sexual, but like that social intimacy in like conversation, spending time together, going places together. And Charlie Kirk is leaving his wife at home with kids and saying, I traveled around with Candace Owens and she's so fun to be with. Hello. A normal woman who wants to be her husband's number one and priority is not going to like that woman. She'll tolerate her. And if she's a Christian woman, she will just put up with it because she wants to submit to her husband. And, you know, the whole Christian thing, like, oh, we don't do divorce. She's just going to pretend that she's okay with the friendship when she's not. Ideally, she would wish they were not friends. She would be like thinking, I wish I had that position. I wish I was so seen with such high esteem by my own husband. I wish he traveled with me, even if their kids were young, because Candace Owens also had young kids, but yet she still traveled with Charlie Kirk. And another thing that I also noticed, as much as they talk about submission, they talk about being conservative, if you notice, Candace Owens has a husband, but yet she freely has her opinions. She freely says the things that she thinks. She has a podcast. She's been so free in her marriage in comparison, I think, to other conservative women. I mean, we didn't see Erica Kirk until now, obviously, but Candace Owens can still run a podcast with young kids. You know, I think as she said, she takes 2 hours off to do her podcast in the day and then go to looking after her kids, and her husband allows her to have that level of freedom. I think to certain women who are conservative, that will come across as unfair. That's just my opinion. So I want to go to what Candace Owens then did after this. And I was quite surprised because I do remember Candace Owens saying she'll stop the whole Charlie Kirk thing if Erica tells her to stop. And I'm surprised that she's now having this back and forth with Erica Kirk. I think Erica Kirk has a right to be annoyed with Candace Owens for the same reasons that I just mentioned. And it's unfair because unfortunately that was her husband's best friend, as he claims. But for Candace, I think Candace should respect Erica. Yes, she should answer her, I suppose, when she's saying things like, oh, I'm busy and you're making money off me.
Did you guys see the clip? So she's on with the Israeli spy, Barry Weiss, after she's grabbing J.D. Vance's ass. And Barry Weiss goes, so what do you have to say to Candace Owens, who built her business lying about blah, blah? And Erica Kirk makes this like face. She goes, stop. That's it. The battle cry of the cries of the widow. Like, come on now. It's enough already. It's enough. It's really bad at this point. Like, you're not a good actress. This is not a compelling performance. Nobody is buying.
Erica Kirk, yes. From what I have heard, she's made more money since Charlie Kirk has died. That's being hypocritical to then call Candace a money grabber using conspiracy theories.
No one, and I mean absolutely no one, outside of my husband and Erica Kirk has the power to shut me up right now. That's it. There's nobody that has the capacity to get me to shut up about this except for Erica Kirk. And I will say this, like, I am on this journey to figure out what happened on that day. I'm not going to stop unless Erica Kirk asks me to stop. I said early on, if Erica Kirk asks me to be quiet, I will be quiet.
But when you go after my family, my Turning Point USA family, my Charlie Kirk Show family, when you go after the people that I love, and you're making hundreds and thousands of dollars every single episode, but this is not okay.
It's a no from me, but you know me. I'm just out here saying what needs to be said. We'll be right back after a brief message from our sponsors.
You see, Candace Owens has said that she'll stop if she tells her what she did wrong. I don't know. I don't really watch Candace Owens like that, but when I saw that Erica had something to say about her, I had to see her response. On another note, one of the very conservative Christians, Alibeth Stuckley? Is it Stuckley? I always think she's so stuck up. She's a typical self-righteous, obnoxious Christian woman. That's all I'm going to say. Who thinks that Jesus shines out of her ass. I'm going to say that because that's how she appears to me. Very stuck up. I didn't realize that she rattled Candace Owens. And Candace Owens gave her a response, and let's see. Now this one I'm loving, because to me, Alibeth Stuckley, stuck up, whatever, Alibeth stuck up is annoying. She's one of those people, the days that I was frequenting churches, if I'd seen her and got her vibe, I would never return to that church ever again. I would be like, nah, keep your Jesus. I'm not coming to such a place. Yeah, that's the vibe she gives me. But anyway, let's hear Candace Owens' response, because I thought that was quite interesting.
I reserve more contempt for the people who don't have the courage to just hate me and instead try to hide behind Bible verses. There is something that deeply and spiritually bothers me about that. And chief among them is Alibeth Stuckey, okay? She presents herself like her brand is squeaky, clean Christianity, does a lot behind the scenes. She's hired like a monster PR agent. Anyone will tell you that. There's not a single Daily Wire host, Matt Walsh, Michael knows, nicest people ever, Brett Cooper, nicest person that will defend Alibeth Stuckey's current PR agent, who is just literally hell-bent on advancing Israel's cause by any means necessary, like by sending someone to follow me after I was no longer employed there to try to make me look bad on camera. She keeps files and cuts people out of context and then sends it to people like Ian Miles Chong. And this is a bad person who Alibeth has hired, but we're supposed to believe Alibeth is Christian. Anyways, I do want to point to this because she's now, no, it's always biblical. So you can never question whether or not she's just being a mean girl and using Bible verses to qualify being mean. But she wrote, in 2020, BLM uses this tactic repeatedly, and now Candace has taken a page out of their book. Anyone, including Charlie's own wife, who pushes back against her conspiracies are only doing so because it's a psyop. They're getting paid. It couldn't possibly be that people sincerely disagree with her methods or can disprove her faulty logic. It's an effective, albeit dishonest, way to solidify yourself as the only champion of truth. The issue is that when people push back on her, she just pulls out the Bible, okay? Like, for example, this is in the comments section. Somebody wrote to her because she's been sniping at me, and it's been very mean girl-esque. This person wrote this on Instagram. They wrote in the comment section, you keep inserting yourself into this topic, but you never add any real value. So what is the agenda for you here? Candace wasn't even mean to you when you inserted yourself the first time, so mean girl energy, like that's a fair question. She does have mean girl energy. Then she says, oh, Britt, I comment on the news. Charlie was my good friend. No one commenting on this story is inserting themselves any more than Candace is. You don't see value in learning how to decipher truth logically and biblically, and that's okay. Like that sentence, just play it again. I want to read it again. You don't see the value in learning how to decipher truth logically and biblically, and that's okay. My content is not for you then. How does that not just make your skin crawl? I don't know. Like, does that not make your skin crawl? Just be snipey and petty. Stop using the Bible as a shield for what you're doing, okay? That woman accurately called you out. I don't know her. Thank you for saying it's very obvious what you're doing. To come back and say, I'm so sorry that you don't like the Bible. I'm so sorry that you don't like the Bible. She is like Salve Regina George, right? Like, Mean Girls was fine because we all knew Regina George was mean, and she was like proud of that. Alibeth Stuckey does the same like tactic of attacking people, sniping them, and then she's like, I'm sorry you don't like the Bible. I actually do like the Bible.
Can I just say, I'm not a fan of Candace Owens, but just because I'm not a fan of hers doesn't mean I don't think she sometimes has good opinions or says good things. She does. And I'm a person who sees human beings. When she says something that I'm like, what Candace has said is decent, I go with it. But would I trust Candace Owens as a person? No. Sorry. But I'm so happy that Candace Owens was able to read Alibeth Stuckley. She put the words correctly. She's one of those people who is so self-righteous and hides behind Christianity. And because she's got such a big platform, she probably thinks she's now Jesus. Frankly, that's the way I see it. But that's my opinion. Anyway, I don't know what you think of this video, but from what I told you, I can understand why Erica Kirk is not happy with Candace Owens. Because I've experienced that when you're a woman who's very close to a male leader, pastor, and the woman's on a code of submission, conservative Christian, husband is the head of the home, you don't question him, you don't usurp his authority, so you stay quiet to give him that position. But yet, he's speaking to another woman, listening to her opinions and defending her. It feels like subtle betrayal. And to be fair, it does feel a bit like, am I being a bit oppressed? So I'll take out my resentment towards that other woman, make it her fault, instead of questioning the system that I'm under.
Well, Erica Kirk said, stop. So what does Candace Owens say? She said, well, no. She goes, no, I'm not going to stop. You said I'm lying. I'm not lying. So now I'm not going to stop. At a certain point, you have to say, are you doing this for then justifiable at this point? Because if the idea is, I'm leading the charge because I love Charlie so much that I want to figure out what happened, do you think that Charlie would want you attacking his wife directly, the mother of his kids, and all of his friends? Charlie loved his wife. I think that's clear. Maybe he did. Who knows? But at the minimum, you can't go out in September and say, I'm going to listen to Erica. If she tells me to stop, I'll stop. Okay, well, she told you to stop. Well, I'm going to keep going anyway. All right, so what are we doing then?
I just had to include that video of Nick Fuentes commenting on Erica Kirk, saying, oh, everything that she does looks like she's performing. And that's the issue that I think has also caused this escalation in what seems like now there is rivalry between her and Candace Owens. People were saying, oh, she's not looking like a grieving widow. But Candace Owens seems to be the one who seems to be more hurt with Charlie Kirk's passing. Over time, you can see how this comparison is now spiraling into the daggers for Candace Owens. Candace Owens says, I'm helping. And Erica Kirk is like, stop. Think about it. Just think about it. A supposed female best friend who's not your friend, now treading on your dead husband's territory. She's treading on Erica Kirk's territory. Erica Kirk is on a mission to continue to run Turning Point USA. So why would she allow Charlie Kirk's supposed female best friend to destroy that legacy of her husband in the name of, I'm grieving and I'll find out who killed Charlie Kirk? Do you see, when you see it that way, you're like, no wonder why Erica Kirk is mad. And thank goodness she doesn't have the husband to submit to now. And I leave you with that. And thank you so much for watching. Would you like me to do more videos on Christian deconstruction? I've read the Bible. And I would love to talk about, I suppose, why I deconstructed. I'm not doing that now. I'm on a different path, but I would love to talk about that. Subscribe to my channel, and thank you so much for watching. Comment below. Take care. Bye.